Alright, so today I was asked to speak about transparency. To speak about some of the things and the reasons why I've chosen the business that I'm currently working with. So this is a story, a little more about my story, about some things that happened in my past and why I am where I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing and how it's helping me to move my life forward. Years ago, I started doing some smart messing around with some drugs back in the day, with just a little bit of marijuana back in high school. In actuality, messing around with marijuana actually almost cost me my baseball career. Because of some things I'd done in my grades and some people with some influence I knew, I was able to graduate. Of course, I graduated with honors, and I also ended up getting a baseball scholarship. Now, fast forward from there, going through college, once again, I had an incident that I thought was the end of the world, right? And this incident with, again, this time was with a female. Because I thought it was the end of the world, I started dabbling back into smoking the weed again and started drinking a whole lot. I started having a lot of fun running around, going to parties here, parties there, and doing a lot of extracurricular smoking. Okay. Again, this ended up almost costing me my college career in baseball because I got to doing too much. Now, again, I did end up graduating from college, again, with honors, and I was offered to go play baseball professionally up in Canada. So again, God is still blessing me each time I'm doing something stupid, but He keeps slapping me. He keeps slapping me and saying, "Hey, listen to what I'm saying. Come to me." I didn't quite listen as much then. I graduated from college, and still, I got things under control, so to speak. I'm going to work. I'm progressing through my job, but there's this itch in the back of me saying that I could do more. I'm supposed to be speaking. I'm supposed to be writing. I'm supposed to be influencing people. I have so much more ability than what I'm able to show at my job. So one day, we had a new manager come in when I was working for the government, and the manager comes in, and he's supposed to be cleaning up the government, right? And so he brings everybody into the offices, one by one, individually meeting the team. And this manager asked me what it is that I want to do with the government or with this company. And so I tell him that I just want to learn management so I can go run my own thing. So that's what I want you to teach me. Needless to say, I wasn't there very much longer. But in that time that I was there, I started learning a lot about personal development and about NLP and about how to change my life and how much I could do with my life if I started investing in myself. I didn't know at the time that that's what I was doing. I just knew it felt right to do the things that I was doing. Okay, so I started learning from Robert Allen's in the Enlightened Millionaire Institute, EMI. Spent a bunch of money, thousands of dollars, started learning a bunch of things about real estate, about stock markets, about personal development, about information marketing on using the internet. Okay, and as I started going through all these different classes and reading these different books and listening to these different audios, I just started feeling better. I just started feeling more empowered that I could do a lot more with my life than I was currently doing. Working for the government, coming in every day, being told what I wanted, told what time hours to come in. Of course, with the flex time, I would come in the time I wanted to come. I still work my hours and I leave when I wanted to leave. So I still had that entrepreneurial piece of me going, right? And I started learning about real estate, and I would spend some time during my lunch hours, and I would walk down the street looking at properties, and while I'm walking down the street, I have my head up, I'm looking at the sun, I'm absorbing the sun, and I'm reading these affirmations as I'm walking down the street, and my life is just starting to change. Things are just starting to happen for me, right? And I should have known some things were going to happen, things were going to change when I first walked into my offices. This is right after graduation, around 2002, the fall of 2002, when I walked into these offices for the government. get my new desk, and I open the cabinet above my desk, and what I see in there are two books. The first book I see in there is, well, there's actually three books. There's a dictionary in there, which is a good sign. I love reading books. I love looking through the dictionary. Secondly, I see the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It was left there. Now, I didn't even read the book, but it just, I kept it. I tucked it away. Something said I need to keep this. A book I needed to keep, right? The third book I saw in there was by George Fraser. I'm not even know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but it said, "Success runs in our race." And I started reading this book. And this started something to change in me. Started reading more books. I started going on from there. Started reading, started learning how to date people better. And I only did the dating thing because I thought it helped me be able to influence other people better. Because I figured if I was more confident in going out and talking to women, it also translated more confidence talking in other areas and using the different skills of neuro-linguistic programming and of anchoring and pattern breaks and all these other different skills that I learned by investing in learning how to become better at talking with women, helped me with seduction, which helped me with attraction. I thought it all went together as being a better salesman, and eventually it did, actually. But here's something you probably don't want to know, probably don't know about me, is that during this time I was using your tax dollars and I was printing off books while I was working for the government, and different times during my breaks or going to the bathroom or going on during lunch, I was reading these books these ebooks that I was downloading and printing off, and I was just constantly starting to grow my life and change my life around. But in the process, I was still going to the clubs often. I was still drinking more than I should have been drinking. I was still smoking marijuana with my friends on the weekends when I should have been just working on pursuing other things. But I didn't know I was growing. Time progressed, and I get into some trouble a couple times with the police. End up being back in Indianapolis. Now I get to Indianapolis, start changing again, and I start implementing some of the techniques that I learned from the real estate. And I started purchasing my first properties. And as I purchasing these properties, I started seeing this good money coming in. I was like, wow, things are changing. I must be doing the right thing. And I'm still going out to the clubs, but now I'm also working a job, and I got this money coming in from the real estate, and I'm just like, life is good. Every time I go out, I'm going out with like 3 or 4 women. I mean, I'm not just trying to brag, but that's just what I was doing. I was hanging out with 3 or 4 women. I'm not spending my own money. I'm just hanging out, having a lot of fun. But being around these women, I ended up getting introduced to cocaine. And I was a person, and I was younger, I always said, I'm not into putting anything in my body. My body's a temple. But I stopped believing it at some point. Actually, not at some point. It was my spring break of when I turned 16 years old. But anyway, from there, I started getting into this cocaine, started doing things the wrong way. Really started going down the wrong path. And I continued to go around this wrong path, and I got into more and more trouble. Now, I did along the way meet some great people through network marketing. People that were like, this business is about learning to personally develop yourself, and we have products to sell to make some money in the process. So I started going through a few different businesses, and one of the few people I do have to give a shout out to is a guy named Jeff Gamble, is my sponsor in network marketing and a mentor of mine. He's always been here for me. When I finally met this man, where he constantly believed in me, even when I was going to jail and coming out of jail, he was still there for me, looking out for me, saying, all right, ready to start again. You're ready to start again. You're ready to start again. On this last trip, from some things I've done back in my past, I finally came back around to basically what happened is things would come back around, and I got sentenced for some things I've done in my past, okay? But God being as good as He is, gave me an opportunity to actually be at home and learn from my mistakes and grow once again. And so again, I called my man, Jeff. He tells me, he comes over and says, look, I got something for you where you can work from home. You can do what you want to do. You can grow the business the way you want to grow it, talk about whatever you want to talk about, but here's the products. And that business has been Empower Network. Now, Jeff already knows, and a lot of my friends already know, I've always wanted to be a writer and a speaker, knowing that there's something in me that needs to come out. My family's been a bunch of teachers. My great-grandfather told me when I was young, told my father when I was young that I was going to be a preacher of the family. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to start going into some holy scripture and talking to you about things like that, but no, I know my life has been blessed. I mean, a lot of people want to say I should talk about my accident, because fresh out of rehab a few years ago, I was actually run over by a truck, completely run over by a truck, where I broke both bones in my lower leg. I broke my hip. I cracked like 3 ribs, collapsed lungs, scars on drug, everything. I have scars everywhere on my head and my arms. They have really gone down a little bit because of another product, another network marketing company I was in. That product actually helped relieve some of the scars and so forth that was on my body. However, the main thing about that is I severed my spine in half in an accident. But here I am, that's 3 years ago, here I am. I mean, I can jump around, I'm lifting weights, I'm back into martial arts, I played basketball, all types of things happened in July, almost 3 years to the day ago, that I was run over completely by this truck in my driveway. Okay? In July of 2010, I was run over, and I said, after coming out of rehab from the hospital, I was only in there for 10 days, and then 11 days going through my personal rehab to learn how to walk again. I told them when I left that I was going to walk into Thanksgiving. I walked into Thanksgiving that year with no crutches, no nothing. I walked in there. Now, granted, my spine was severed in half. The doctors didn't even know how I was moving my hands or coherent or anything like that, but I was. Now, that would be the biggest story. But the biggest miracle I can still say today is I don't have the urge to go out and be high. That's more bigger miracle. Don't get me wrong, the urge comes around time to time, but I don't have this urge to get up in the morning and go look for some way to get high. But so me being able to pass that message is me being completely transparent, because now I can write, I can blog, I can do my videos on how my life has changed and the things I've learned through my life. Because I was constantly, messages were constantly coming to me. Even when I was running around the streets back in college and high school, back in college, and when I left college and being back here running around the streets now, before, not now, but I was constantly reading books. I was constantly listening to audio. I was constantly listening to personal development. I'm listening to all types of craziness. People are and they're trying to talk to people about things that, enlightened conversations that they didn't want to hear. But I constantly was having these conversations. Now I can have it with somebody who really wants to hear it. That's what I do through my blog. That's what I get to do through these videos that I post even on Facebook and on my own websites. So I'm glad and thankful that I found Empower Network to help me to give you a vehicle to actually not only make some money with, but also be able to pass on a message to people who want to hear my message. So, Jeff, I thank you for that. Empower Network, I thank you for that. And Dave have been an inspiration for me, having come through similar situations that I have, and showing that not only through working through sobriety and being the person I am today, that I don't have to just be sober, that I can be better. I can have more. I can do things. I don't have to shelter myself from the world. So, this is Arlando Fortune telling you keep it as simple as ABC, 1, 2, 3, and do, re, mi. And if you haven't noticed, I have a new saying for myself. That saying is, there's no doubt, just blessings. Oh, one more last thing. I was just watching a story, and I think part of the reason why I jumped up and said I had to say this. I was just watching a movie. It was called Holiday Heart, okay? And there's a scene towards the end of this movie that really got struck with me. And what it is this is a man who cross-dresses, and he's a gay man, but he does some cross-dressing and things of that nature, but he's taking on this little girl whose mother is a crack addict, okay? And so he's taken into the family, into his life, and he's trying to help raise his daughter, or his daughter at this point, right? And the mother has been out on the streets at this point, and the daughter's feeling real bad about it. She's taking on life as if she's supposed to live up to her mother's, how her mother acted, and she wants to do these certain things. And so in this scene, you see Holiday Heart and the little girl, Nikki, they're standing in front of a mirror in the bedroom. And Holiday Heart cups the little girl, Nikki's chin in her hand, and raises her head up so to her eyes meet her own eyes in the reflection of the mirror. And he says to her, I may not get the words completely correct, but what he says to her is, I want you to see yourself in this mirror. I don't want you to see your mother, no circumstances, not anyone else. He said, and every day it is your job, it is your God-given duty to look in this mirror and say that you love her. So something I took from Bob Proctor in The Secret, one thing he said was that he loves himself so much that sometimes he gotta kiss himself. How to learn how to love myself. And I'm trying to help inspire people so they can learn to love themselves. Thank you. I love myself.